Hello, the name is Mingut, and I am one of the most well-renowned witch hunters in all the land. I am also a skilled and formidable warrior, as well as an accomplished leader. I've spent many a day and month dedicating myself to Sigmar and to rooting out chaos and corruption all throughout the realm. This is my partner Randolph, one of the most badass fellers I know. I want to be like him. But Randolph is a warrior priest, and I am but a measly witch hunter. I need to make a great grand transition, which is going to require me selling off a lot of my armor. First things first, getting rid of this silly pointed hat and exchanging it for a nice metal headband. Oh yeah. Although I don't think many warrior priests tend to use a Chaos Warrior's falcon that they found lying on the ground in a pool of blood, but we'll exchange it later. We don't really have the money as of right now. I'm a little bit poor. But I find that the best way to go about making money is by protecting the realm from filthy beastmen, outlaws, deserters, and the forces of chaos, and then ransoming those bastards off to the nearest town to be hung by the neck until they're dead. And as for all the ones who didn't get hung by the neck and we cut their throats, we could sell off all the clothing and armor they were wearing for a pretty penny as well. Ah, such glorious days. It feels ever so good to be a righteous warrior hunting down those that are unjust and filthy by nature. As we were striking down these filthy monstrosities, we would eventually find ourselves a fine sledgehammer. Now, it's not exactly a warrior priest hammer, but you have to start somewhere, and this little wooden noggin bonker is going to be perfect. Just as with anything, you cannot learn to walk before you crawl, and in this case, you can't learn to fly before you crawl with a nicer hammer. I don't know, but I do like beating people in the head with this. It wouldn't be long at all, though, before we ended up being able to purchase our very own first warrior priest hammer, though it is quite small, and it appears to be designed more for hitting nails into wooden planks than men on top of the head. We'll make do with what we have, as I was tickled plum pink just to have a proper one. It would seem that my new righteous and glorious noggin bonker would come in good use, as well as the Chaos Lords are rising up, and it was time for us to start beating them back into the dirt. Not only were we dishing out Sigmar's justice, but we were also practicing our form a little bit. We would ensure the forces of chaos would not have a leg to stand on, as we were going to crush their femurs. Finally, after many an adventure and battle, I would be able to afford myself some armor that was much more befitting my new occupation, you could say. It's not exactly your standard warrior priest breastplate, but I think it does me justice, and more importantly, will allow me to dish out justice, giving me the ample protection that I need against the chaos forces, ensuring they don't crush my chest and thus busting my heart and lungs before I can get a few good swings in at their silly little heads. During many of the larger battles, I would often dismount from my horse, giving my men the motivation and courage they need to continue fighting on, and covering myself in the blood of the filthy. In our travels, we would often have to come to the aid of the Empire's caravans, protecting it against the cultists. Thankfully for us, they couldn't hold a candle to our advanced battle tactics and numbers, and we would easily and very quickly end up capturing their leaders and disposing of them appropriately. You can run, but you cannot hide from the glory of the Empire. I was running around all the lands, chopping off all the cultist heads that I could find, and God did it feel good. Felt even better when I found myself a nice pole hammer, a great big long one. This way I can bonk heads from a distance. Ah, technology never ceases to amaze me. Who comes up with these inventions? This one was much better than the little tiny one I have been using. You see, it's all about the form. You take a good charge with your horse, or even if you're really close quarters, you can poke them with the sharp bit on the end. God, is it nice. Genuinely though, this hammer had much better damage, as I found myself killing enemies with one single blow to the face often. At one point during my travels, I had come into contact with a traveling merchant who had an old rifle for sale. Now this was important because I had zero gunpowder skill, meaning I couldn't purchase any other type of firearm to use except for this one. Now obviously, as you can imagine, the damage and accuracy was absolutely shite, but it was great for practice. Kind of like shooting cans with a BB gun when you're like 10 years old. You gotta start somewhere, right? That's it, Randolph. Crossbows are so totally out, and guns are in. We gotta get you one too, though, friend. After very much practice, I ended up getting my gunpowder skill to 76. I know, impressive, isn't it? Because my skill is now much, much higher, though, that means that I can give Randolph my old rifle for him to practice with to get his skill up, and now I can purchase myself a proper Imperial rifle. As one could come to expect, the bullets fly faster, harder, and the gun is just totally accurate and much better overall, to be honest with you. And I have the perfect mission for us to take our new weapons out on. We're going to start trashing a few cultist hideouts and driving these rats out of their nest. With the moon overhead in the dead of night, we shall cast the forces of chaos and their worshippers down into the deepest of hells. Tiptoe, 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 sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. They never knew what hit them, standing around at their guard post with their hands on their... Oh, we killed him. Eventually, we had completely cleaned out the area, and we got to the end where we had to fight off those last few remaining cultists who had tried to barricade themselves within their hideout. Needless to say, we ended up slaughtering the lot of them. I said it anyway. But if you thought we were just going to stop with one hideout, baby, you don't know who the hell you're talking to. We went to every single one within a decent-sized vicinity, slaughtering, killing, pillaging, and stomping out chaos wherever we find it. Corruption has no place in this world, and we're gonna make sure they know it. After spending a few months clearing out several of these cultist hideouts, we found ourselves arriving back at the city of Averheim, where we would enter the tavern for a quick celebration. As my men and myself were enjoying a great big feast, I would come into contact with a gentleman by the name of Bella, the warrior priest. What a coincidence, because I and Randolph are also warrior priests. Bella here said that as a warrior priest of Sigmar, no corruption will escape his wrath. Now that's the spirit. I could use a gentleman like yourself in my company. And so it was. Welcome aboard, Bella. I'm sure you'll make yourself right at home. Oh, looks like you already are. What a good fellow. By this point, I had an army of 434 men strong, including myself, and also, of course, Bella and Randolph. We are definitely a force to be reckoned with, similar in size to the end of the last video when we were just being a witch hunter. But I'm afraid we're going to need more than this to fight the Chaos Portal, as we saw last video. For we will not stop until we close its disgusting, foul, gaping hole once and for all, until the realm of men is protected from its forces. Now you might be saying to yourself, how are you going to amass such a gigantic force to take on the Chaos Portal? Well, I've been amassing a great big fortune this entire time by fighting Chaos Raiders and Beastmen and yada 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 and selling them off to be hung by the neck until they're dead, you know what I'm saying? So we have plenty of money to buy an army, basically, and that's exactly what we're going to begin doing. I and my men began traveling all throughout these lands, purchasing and hiring many recruits, mercenaries, and anyone who seemed at least somewhat pure of heart and willing to help us fight off chaos corruption. And yes, look, I'm going to level with you. I was extremely desperate for soldiers. I wanted to destroy this portal and everyone inside of it really, really bad. So I hired everyone from 15-year-old boys holding their training swords to well, actually, I didn't hire vampires, but I came really close by accident. And once it was all said and done, I would run over to a shrine of Sigmar to offer up a prayer to receive Sigmar's glorious blessing before the epic battle. And with an army of 905 men strong, I think we might just stand a chance. The only issue, the majority of our forces are made up of fairly inexperienced troops. But there's only one way to learn, am I right? Alright, gentlemen, follow me into that large, red, pulsating, gaping hole in the middle of the forest, and I will not let you down, I swear by it. Gentlemen, today we stand at odds with all that is evil and unholy in this world. And upon our backs we bear the burden of divine light and justice, though they sit upon the back of what appears to be flaming horses with their dark, intimidating armors. Fear ye not, my friends, for if you fall during this battle, you shall become one with the spirit of the Emperor, and those of us who do survive shall be envious of your new place in the cosmos. This is it, men. Stay strong. Sigmar protects. And so would begin a battle of absolutely epic proportions. I would stay at a distance from our enemies, firing at them with my rifle, trying to kill as many as possible. This was an absolute bloodbath, and our enemies were dropping like flies. But I couldn't sit atop the hill and fire my rifle forever. I would run out of bullets. Besides, I would much rather join the fray with my pole hammer and start bashing in skulls. And my presence on the battlefield really seemed to inspire my men to fight harder and longer. Eventually, though, I had rode into a large group of Chaos Warriors and was knocked off my mount. Unfortunate to say the least, but thankfully Bella and Randolph would be able to lead in my absence as I was trampled. Speaking of, Bella had just arrived with reinforcements, the icing on what is sure to be the greatest defeat that the forces of evil have ever faced. As our crossbowmen fired overhead, our sword and spearmen would plunge themselves into the gullets of our enemies, and one gigantic mass mob of our soldiers would push them back. And with that, we did it. We are victorious. The Chaos Forces, the Chaos Portal, completely in shambles defeated. Our earth-shattering victory shall echo across all the realms, and they shall sing songs about this great victory for generations to come. Now that we've won, we would also be able to choose a great big reward. I ended up choosing a nice plate armor set, though I doubt we'll be wearing it as it isn't exactly fit for a warrior priest. We could always sell it for some more money. And thus, of course, we would also have plenty of gear from these Chaos Forces that we could take, along with ransoming many of them off to be killed and executed and blah blah blah. And all this money that we're getting, we can actually use to build our force up bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, I suppose by this point, we're more of some type of great general than we are a warrior priest. Well, I suppose we'll just have to see what comes of that. Until next time, though, my friends, may Sigmar guide your strikes. See you later. Hello, I just wanted to pop in at the end of the video and say thank you ever so much for watching today's video. As always, I love you all ever so much. I do truly hope you're enjoying this little series, or mini-series, whatever we're going to be calling it and doing with it here in Bannerlord. I love the Old Realms mod, and I love Bannerlord in general, but in particular, I have a very sweet and soft spot in my heart for the Empires of Europe, as well as the Old Realms. Very, very fun mods. There's so much to them. It's just, I don't know, it's incredible. Everything looks incredible, everything feels incredible, and it's just so much fun. I can't stress that enough. Yeah, thank you guys once again for watching. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and all that other junk everybody else begs you to do on their videos. I too am shamelessly begging you to do. I'd like to get a lot of attention on these Bannerlord series if we can, because the more attention we get, the better they do, and the, more of them I can do. And so if you like them, it really helps me out, and I really appreciate it. But again, I love you. Hope you've enjoyed. See you later. Bye.